going to be showing you guys a couple different squat variations here, but ultimately what I want to do is I want to teach you guys how do you do a squat properly, essentially. There's been a lot of bad information out over the years. Things like don't let your knees travel over your toes. People saying, hey, you need to have your legs exactly this far apart. For foot placement and width of your leg stance comes down to the individual, and that's one of the things that I've noticed the most. When it comes to not allowing your knees over your toes, that's false as well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk through a couple squats here. I got a barbell back squat set up, and so we'll kind of go through that. Okay, so first things first, I have the bar set up. It's kind of a little bit lower than I need it to be, but I'd rather have it lower than a little bit too high. You want to have it set up so that you can get under the bar and off the rack properly. When I go to set up for this squat, I'm going to make sure that I am centered on the bar. So I have to make sure that I have a knurling here in the center, and this allows the bar to stay stuck in the same position. Reduces the risk essentially of it sliding around my back mid-set, because that's one thing that you don't really want to do. I line my body with the very center here. I already know my hand grip. I don't have a lot of mobility in my shoulders, so I have to go extra wide. I'll dip underneath the bar. I'll have my feet staggered and I will stand straight up before walking back. Where I have the bar placed on my back is right on top of my rear delts. Once you have enough muscle in your back, you can do that comfortably. Otherwise, we do have some pads here that you can put on the bar so that it can protect your spine, your neck, and everything else in the general area as well. As I get set up for this squat, one of the things I'm going to focus on is the direction my toes are pointing, because that is super important. So right now, what I do is I have my toes pointed straight forward. With that in mind, I'm also going to ensure that my femur is rotated straight forward so that my knees will be going directly over top of my toes while I perform the squat. The idea is to make sure that all of your joints are aligned appropriately with the bones. What this is going to do is going to allow there to be the proper tension of muscle and not have awkward torque on any of the joints. Now, that was just a basic squat for me. One thing you want to think about while you're doing squats is you need to think about engaging your core, your breathing pattern. Those are two very important aspects. Before you start your squat, you're going to breathe in through your chest, not through your stomach. Breathe into your chest. Hold that breath. You're going to engage your core 20 to 50%. I don't want you sitting there flexing it super hard, but enough that you're stable. Once you're ready there, chest is going to be up. And when I say chest up, what we're really doing is we're ensuring that all the muscles in your back are tense. So as I go up, tense the muscles in my back, and that is going to ensure that my spine is neutral, and then I'm ready to squat. Now, if you find that while you're squatting, your knees are very unstable and they're wobbling out, wobbling in, then there's a large chance that you have a muscular imbalance when it comes to your legs. I typically find with most individuals that means that they have weaker adductors, and the adductors is what is on the inside of your leg here, and that is what will help with the knee stabilization in a squat the most. Now, to strengthen up your adductors, there are a few exercises that directly hit your adductors solely, like the Copenhagen planks or the adductor machine. Another aspect of what you could do is you could actually go with a wider squat stance, and that goes for any kind of squat variation, or the same with a leg press variation. So I'm going to do a wider stance here to be able to hit my adductors a little bit more as well. So again, I'm centered, lined up on my back, stand up, all the way out. So now I'm going to go with a bit of a wider stance here. Now with this in mind, my toes are actually pointed outwards. And with that, I have to rotate my femurs outwards as well to ensure that my knees are going to be going over top of my toes. Now with the wide stance, this is going to hit your adductors much more, and some of your quads are actually going to be more used to stabilize the knee joint instead of being the muscles that have the most tension on them. I'm going to breathe in through my chest, engage my core, chest up. Now, if you are performing the squat and you find that you are leaning over quite heavily, what that shows is that you don't have enough strength, more or less, in your quads to be able to support the movement the way that you want it to be. To work on that, I would recommend spending more time in the leg press, in the hack squat, or doing leg extensions to try to build up that strength, and then keep intertwining squat movements in to try to see if that improves. The best way to see if that improves is to take video shots from the side and then watch them over time to see if you're able to get more depth without leaning as far forward. Now, if you are wanting a more glute dominant squat, that is where you will intentionally lean over more, creating more flexion in the hip joint and less flexion in the knees. And that would look something more like this. If that is your goal, you do that intentionally and that will hit that more. One other thing you want to be careful for while you're doing squats is if you are getting to a good depth, you want to avoid getting a hip dip. What the hip dip is where you get a posterior pelvic tilt. What that means in layman's terms is your pelvis actually sits underneath your, twists underneath your body, and it actually takes tension off of the muscles that you're trying to hit. So some people, they can go all the way down to here and they can be like, oh, well, I can sit here for fucking ever. When you are down into a pelvic tilt position, there's no more tension on the main muscle you're trying to hit. It's all through your physiology, through the joints. So try to avoid that by getting maybe about 3/4 of the way down, figure out the depth that you can go before your body automatically wants to tilt, engaging those muscles, and then coming back up. Talking about a little bit more foot placement, ideally what you're gonna wanna aim for is roughly shoulder width apart. As I said at the beginning of the video, it is different for every individual. So you kind of need to test a few different things, see what does work for you, try a few different angles with your toes. Not everybody's gonna wanna go directly straight. Some people are gonna wanna go slightly outwards as well. Again, make sure your femurs are rotated to the appropriate angle to go with the joints so that your knees do go over top of your toes as you perform the movement. But that is my basic walkthrough of how to do a back squat, what to watch for, and a few different little tips to try to get you through it. Give it a good shot. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Peace.